2020 has been weird for LEGO Star Wars, and 2021 certainly promises to be even weirder. And with that, we have an interesting topic for today's video. I'm going to talk about a canceled LEGO Star Wars set, and that is the 75296 Microfighter counterpart to the 75295 Millennium Falcon Microfighter based off Episode 4, A New Hope. Ever since Microfighters came about in 2014, they have been released as singular $10 sets with a build and a figure in each set. Come a few years later, they actually introduced dual pack microfighters, which pitted one microfighter against another for the $20 price point. Instead of just the 10 for one, it was 20 for two. But the concept being that it pitted two microfighters against each other. And with these microfighters all throughout history, there's yet to be a microfighter release that was a standalone $10 microfighter with nothing to counteract it. And in this case, in 2021, it very much appears so that we are going to be seeing that for the first time. And there's a pretty dead giveaway, actually, with the other day's reveal of LEGO Star Wars 2021 sets on the back of the 75295 Millennium Falcon Microfighter. If you see here, we actually got an early look at the 75298 Tauntaun versus AT-AT Microfighter, which should be coming out in March of 2021. However, there's actually a little piece of text that I think nobody really picked up on this box, and it says collect both. And it has in the pictures the Millennium Falcon Microfighter and the Tauntaun versus AT-AT Microfighter set, basically saying these are the only two for Series 8 of Microfighters, which is rather sad. It's sad to see that LEGO isn't filling out the line this year for those microfighters, and it's unknown exactly why, but of course we can speculate, and I'm open to your opinions in the comment section below. But I did rewatch portions of Episode 4 for this video, just to see what was going on with the Millennium Falcon in that movie, and as far as I can tell, the only things that would make sense for the Millennium Falcon to be pitted up against would be an Imperial Star Destroyer or the Death Star. The Death Star, a little less sense, but the Death Star would have worked as a microfighter if they were able to design one. Who's to say whether or not that could have happened? Or the third option, and in my opinion the most likely option, would have been a TIE Fighter. And for whatever reason, neither of these three came to fruition as set number 75296 to go against the Millennium Falcon Microfighter. And it's actually quite sad to see that happen. Now, my original theory on this a few weeks ago, before we had pictures like this, was that 75296 was canceled. I've known that for quite a while. It probably isn't going to come out. Whether or not people on the internet agreed or disagreed with me, looking at you, Reddit, it was the truth. And so for a while, I actually thought that they had canceled the Microfighter because I was also under the impression that the Millennium Falcon would be Episode 5 based. So the sensible thing to have pit against a Millennium Falcon or Episode 5 would be something like a Slave 1. And in that Slave 1, you would have a Boba Fett. And then came the Episode 1 of The Mandalorian, where you had Cobb Vanth, who wore Boba Fett's armor. So my line of thinking there was that, well, if this Millennium Falcon Microfighter is Episode 5 based, and we're getting a Slave 1 Microfighter, or we would have been, then LEGO probably found out pretty late in the process that, hey, a Cobb Vanth Boba Fett armor guy is coming, and it would be confusing to consumers to have a $30 set with a Boba Fett looking guy and a $10 set with a Boba Fett looking guy. I don't know why I thought this, but I basically thought that that's why they would cancel a $10 Microfighter of a Slave 1, and I had thought it might be a Slave 1. Turns out none of that really came to fruition, but that was my original line of thinking. I just thought it was interesting. They canceled a set this year quite clearly. Usually, you have missing set numbers, and you don't know for sure what they would have been or how much they would have cost, perhaps. But in this case, we have really a perfect idea of what it would have been. It would have been something to go right against that Millennium Falcon Microfighter. I would love for the designers or someone to come out and say what it would have been or why something like that would be canceled, because this is unprecedented. We have never gotten a microfighter that didn't have a microfighter to oppose it. So I think that's something big here to note that a lot of people really aren't taking a look at. Like, I know microfighters aren't the most important thing in the LEGO Star Wars lineup, but I just find it interesting on a pretty basic level.